edition.
What's going on, analyst?
Oh, nothing much. Just getting ready. Right around the corner, man, isn't it?
How you been, my brother? Things good, man?
Yeah, no, everything's great. Everything's great. Family's good. Everybody's good. Just getting ready to go.
So are you at the facility right now?
Yeah, the bit's not working. I don't know what the deal is. I got 10,000 buttons and knobs and dials and switches in front of me, and I have no idea what's not working right now and what is. But so Norno tried. We tried. Paul, we tried our best.
No, I couldn't care less about that. The reason for the reason for my question is, like, what's it like over there right now? I mean, it has to be just super, super quiet, right?
You know what? There are a lot more people here than I thought. I expected this place to be empty, and then usually the week or two leading up, but it's pretty busy. Folks out on the field. There's the parking lot's full, so yeah, it's pretty busy here. I think it's a little different than it used to be, where everything was off, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything turned on. I think now everyone's getting ready now.
As a former player and/or coach, like, where is the mind, this part of the equation, knowing, okay, we've had, because you're like in the middle, maybe just like starting the second half of the off time from minicamp. Like, where is the mind? Where does the mind need to be now to get ready for training camp?
As a coach, you've got everything. You've got every minute of probably the first 7 days of practice planned out. And by every minute, I mean every drill, obviously every practice, but every minute, every drill, every install, every minute of every meeting, all of it's planned out right now. And, you have it all ready to go. And as the camp starts and things happen, you're indoors, you're outdoors, whatever, you can change and adapt, but you have this thing planned down to a T. As a player right now, you're just, the hay's already in the barn as far as being in shape, right? You have to keep yourself at a certain level, but most of the hard work's been done, and it's time to get out of that vacation mindset, so to speak, and then get ready to get back to work. It's a little different. I mean, back in our day, when you would go to bed the night before camp started, you knew that was the best that you're going to feel physically for about 6 months. I don't know if it's like that bad or that dramatic nowadays as it was back when we used to go to sleep in Gage Hall down in Mankato. But the players are, they're putting the golf clubs away and putting all the fun stuff away and getting themselves ready, for the season to start and saying goodbye to all the family, and it's time to go to work.
And going to work not only will include training camp, but a preseason. We have a game a month from Saturday. The Vikings have a preseason game a month from Saturday. It's the Raiders here. Hopefully it's not 3-0 like that. The Vikings won, but hopefully it's a little more exciting than that 3-0 in the Jefferson Hospital ball game. And I certainly can't speak for you, man, but preseason games are they're fun to call. With the rare opportunity we get to call games on television, I just really enjoy calling those games. What about you?
I do as well. It's a heck of a lot of fun. We can do it on TV, which is a little bit different. I'm really looking forward to this year because the kickoff rules are going to be different. I mean, that's a big thing.
I know.
It's not as if they're working the kickoff like the way it's been less and less of a factor. Now all of a sudden, we've got ourselves a whole new play. You got a whole new part of the kicking game that might be relevant again and extremely relevant. And the coaches, that's one thing I learned from being at the combine and over the last 3 or 4 months is just how much planning and preparation they're doing. Nobody knows what everybody else is doing. No one knows what you're doing. So that part of it's going to be, I think that part of it's going to be a lot of fun just to see how the kickoffs changed. But to see these young guys get out there and play, obviously we don't see a lot of starters to get out there, but you're going to see, people like Ivan Pace last year. He played the entire preseason. So there's going to be 2 or 3 of those guys that are out there battling for the first 3 preseason games, and they'll be out there the rest of the season. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
How important will it be for kickers to tackle? I just wonder if the walk up to the season, if there will be different tackling type drills that involve kickers. And the point being is they're just learned special teams minds who expect these returns to pop. And so, therefore, that's the last line of defense. And we've seen kickers try to, run down players or get in the way or force them into other players. But that's when players are all around the returner. I mean, if once Cordero, Kene-Wanwu, or whomever pops through, well, then it's just the kicker. And I think tackling is going to be important. Do you?
It's going to be a lot more relevant than it's ever been. And will that affect exactly, because as far as the kickers go, your field goal kicker is your kickoff guy. So you don't want, you can't afford to have that person get hurt. You can't afford to lose that person.
Right.
And kicking field goals is absolutely the priority. And if you're doing that well, then the kickoff side of it is completely different. Maybe they'll have the punter do the kickoff if he can. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. You still got to kick the ball quite a ways, and the kicker is going to be, a lot further back than the front line. So you're, in that respect, it's still going to be a little ways before that the back or the receiver or whomever catches the kickoff is going to get up on them. But, their job will probably be just inside out, force them to the sideline or force them to your help. You can count on them, I think, getting in the way. And I think if you have a kicker that can tackle, that's just kind of icing on the cake. But it's a tough bit. It's a tough thing to disqualify a guy who can be 95% from 50 yards and then say, well, we need someone to tackle on kickoffs. So, I don't see that changing too much. But you're right, Paul. It's going to happen a lot more than we've seen in many, many years.
Are you perchance coming to Cleveland for the joint practices?
I don't even know when that is, and if I can, I'm definitely going to be there.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's like August 14 and 15, and then chill on the 16th, and then we have a game on the 17th, the second preseason game. That'd be super sweet if I could watch those practices with like you and or Lieber.
As long as Nordo goes and he's outside at the table, kind of like a la Cincinnati.
Amen.
You know what I mean? That would be, we'd living the dream.
I'm ready to sweat.
In Cincinnati, we were standing between Michael Johnson and something called King Dunlap, and like they were 6'7", 6'8". It was like the biggest group of players. Like,
they were big.
Getting lost amongst the trees. Here we got.
And then I looked like they had just smashed a 6'8" human down to 6'1".
And here we got Myles Garrett.
Oh, yeah.
And Zadarius Smith.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Wyatt Teller. Yeah, that. That's August 14th, I believe, is like the practices would be 14, 15. I think in the Cleveland afternoon, 9 to noon would be 10 to 1 just for fun, but that'd be great to see you there. How about, seriously though, how about that awful Kyrie Jackson news, dead at the age of 24?
Yeah, just a shame. I remember, Denny Green would always say nothing good happens after midnight, right? And it's a shame. I mean, the young man went through. I was so looking. I mean, I had questions written down for interviews, and when we had the opportunity to sit down with them, whether it's right prior to the interview, prior to a game, or sometime during training camp, but the young man was in football and did what he had to do to get back in, and that means working at a deli and going to a number of junior colleges, and got himself back in a position to get drafted and get to the NFL. it's every coach's. Well, I mean, every coach's in front office. It's your worst nightmare because when guys are here, you control them, but you have a little bit. You have a little bit more of a monitor on them. You know when they're going to be, where they're going to be, what time they're going to be there. And when you turn them loose and it's the off season and they can just go out and do, they have some free time. It's nerve wracking because you're counting on every single person out there. And, to have something like this happen is just, it's mind blowing, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just so, it's just a tragedy. It's just, the young man was on his way and he was doing all the work, and then to have it all taken away, I guess it's a lesson for everyone to not take anything for granted. That's for sure.
Let me tie it to Corey Stringer, who was a teammate of yours. You played with Big K, who died at, I think, age 26 or 27, due to heat exhaustion. Now, here's the point. You would know this because A, you're in the fraternity, but B, you spent hours in locker rooms as a player. These guys get close quickly. I mean, it's Kyrie Jackson may have been here just a couple of months, but they get close quickly and in a different way. And I'm quite sure, like when Big K died, that there are many locally with the team, with the Covenant, who are just torn up right now, simply because of a bonds are developed, with football players, and I've seen it over the years in a very, very short amount of time.
Yes, When Corey passed, that was a hole. That was a void. That was, you're talking about a guy who, not only was big as a human being, but as a personality, as a leader, as somebody who, this team looked to in the locker room. He was just such a presence, Paul. And then to have all that happen within sight of the team, and at that time, that was a little different. That was a huge blow to this football team. And how guys reacted to it. I mean, that was a shock. In the NFL, you're used to working next to people who may not be there the next day because guys get cut, right? Guys, a lot of different things happen, get traded, whatever, right? So you're used to guys kind of coming and going in that respect, but to know, right, that he didn't do anything to get himself released, so to speak. This was a tragic accident that happened. Absolutely. And I think once everyone gets back there, everyone will have the opportunity to kind of talk about it. And I think that's one thing that's absolutely changed over the course of the years in this league is, nowadays, if it's bothering you or if you're feeling it, you'll have people here to talk to.
Right.
I think, teammates are much more open to that, to opening up and talking about those kinds of things and what they're struggling with, and get the help that they need. And that's been a huge emphasis from the teams themselves, the NFL Players Association, to the whole thing, because it affects everyone differently. And I guarantee you that this locker room and this front office and the coaching staff, everybody in this building, is affected by what happened with Kyrie.
This is Pete Bercich,
the analyst
for the vast and ever-expanding KFAN Minnesota Vikings radio network. We have a preseason game to call on radio and TV for the gang. They have a preseason game to play a month from Saturday, and it's here against the Las Vegas Raiders. Mad Producer hit me with this yesterday. I'd like to get your thoughts. Do you think, quarterback-wise, do you think it will go Darnold, Mullins, McCarthy, or will the rookie steal the second spot, meaning like Darnold, McCarthy, then maybe Mullins?
Let's see. Yeah, maybe in the first game they might go They might go McCarthy to Mullins. Or, they might, the other thing too is they may go to Mullins, but they may let him go out there for a series, right? I mean, they know what they have in Mullins. Mullins has been around. We've seen what he can do. And you have a guy McCarthy that needs snaps. And so whether he's 2 or 3, if he's 3, I think he's going to be out there very quickly. As a 3 and get a vast majority of these preseason snaps to get himself ready. But I don't expect to be McCarthy. I don't expect McCarthy to be at 3 for very long, if past the first game.
Okay. Well, assuming Darnold is the starter week 1, what would Sam have to do to make sure the offense is requisite of Kevin O'Connell's expectations?
First thing I think for Darnold is not turning the football over. Let's not forget where we were in the beginning of the season a year ago and what really took us off track. I mean, turnovers the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season were, that was, and it wasn't just the quarterback. It was a lot. A lot of people had a hand in it. But I think not turning the ball over is going to be the biggest thing for Darnold, making good decisions and then being able to execute the offense the way that Coach O'Connell wants it to be executed. I mean, his passing game it's different. It's a little bit more complicated. He attacks certain things certain ways, and he wants to have a quarterback that can execute it and be able to, run this offense, make the right checks, do all those things. And so that's the big thing for Darnold is number one is going to be not turning the ball over. And number 2 is execution of what the offense and what Coach O'Connell's trying to do. Now that's a little bit difficult for us to ascertain when we're just sitting here from afar and watching it. But he definitely has the tools. I mean, we saw it on film. He can scramble a little bit more, but don't expect him to be using that, right? This is not a quarterback run-related offense. You only run last resort. So that's what I'm going to be looking for out of him. I mean, he has the arm strength, and if he's going to have the ability to take shots downfield and open up this passing game, the best for him. I mean, his career, this is it for him, right? He's bounced around a little bit. For Darnold, this is it. If he makes an impact this year, manages to keep the job throughout the entire season, then he's probably going to get paid by somebody else and be able to play quarterback for at least 3 or 4 more years. And so we'll see if that's the case. But you got him fighting for his life, so I guarantee you Darnold's going to be giving it everything he's got.
Last one. The team may be reuniting with running back Cam Akers. What do you think of that, if true?
I love it. I think Cam brought a little attitude, I think, to the position. I think Cam Akers understands what the running back position, what they want to do with it out of the passing game. Having been with Coach O'Connell when he was out in Los Angeles, so it's the injury, right? It's just, and it affects different people. Obviously, with the quarterback situation with the quarterbacks, is that going to be? How does that on the plant foot and everything else? But with the running back, it's a little bit different. And I think that's the question: is the mobility, his ability to block some of those things that you're going to be able to continue to do that. But I think having someone like him close by, right? Let's just say on a short list. To be able to pull in at short notice and be able to execute and operate in this offense is a good thing. But I love Cam Akers, and it was a shame to see him get hurt because he was starting to. He had a couple of good games. He was getting some productivity until the injury. So, doing things down the field. He's a hustler, and he brings some attitude to this team. So I love Cam Akers in this locker room, and I love Cam Akers on the field. It's just a question of how well has he recovered. From the injury.
Bercich.
Great catching up. Look forward to seeing you down the road, all right?
Yeah, can't wait, man. See you.
Yep. See you, Peter. Thank you, my brother. At Pete Bercich via Twitter. He's the analyst for the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network. He is Pete Bercich. I'm Paul Allen. He's Eric Nordquist, and this is money to be given away.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword credit, and you might win $1,000. The keyword is credit at KFAN.com. What up, 9 to noon? It is News du Nord. And News du Nord is brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com for all event details. It's poker, blackjack, and table games all year round. Live racing is in play as well, so check out the full racing calendar, the 2024 summertime. Watch, wager, and win. CanterburyPark.com. Speaking of winning, Twins win in the 11th inning last night, PA. They were in Chicago. And Chris Paddock, you asked about that. We couldn't figure out. There was no announcement, at least as we were discussing this 24 hours ago. And Chris Paddock was indeed back in the mix. Only went 5, gave up 2 over 78 pitches. Kind of a bullpen-a-thon from there on out. But they were down 5-2 in the 7th, and the Twins scored 4. Carlos Correa hits a go-ahead solo home run. They're up 6-5 at the end of 7. Dig that. Of course, the next inning, bottom of the 8th, the White Sox would tie it up. Fast forward to the 11th inning. Brooks Lee has an RBI single, and Manny Margot with a grounder that scores Buxton from third, and they hold off in the bottom half of the inning. A chance by the Chicago White Sox to tie it up and continue on into extras. The Twins win 8-6. It's Bailey Ober and Eric Fetty today. Again, 2 more against Chicago. Now, there was a weather terrorist on the text line that said there's possibility maybe there's postponement or it could be a doubleheader tomorrow, et cetera. So I don't know what the weather situation is in Chi-Town. I look once per morning at the weather app on my phone, and then I do those weather bits, the 5-second bits during the show.
I'm a big hourly guy. If there's precipitation, at least even possible.
Well, yeah. Well, sure, if there's a chance of rain or actually something going on. But if it says high of 80 and it's cloudy, well, then that's what we're rolling with. At any rate, I don't know what the weather situation is in Chicago. I know that Bailey Ober's next in line to pitch. Another win for the Minnesota Twins. Made it a little tougher on themselves against the worst team in baseball. Get another victory today, fellas.
Yeah, what Cleveland do last night?
I don't have all the scores in front of me.
Yeah, I'm trying to get them right
seconds.
now. The Guardians yesterday.
They lost 1-0.
Oh, wow. So they went against that bunk pitcher. Wow. So I think that might have been a Kenta Maeda game. And wow, Maeda's struggling. Oh, no, Maeda goes today.
So it's down to 5 in the division.
Wow. So that's interesting news. Cleveland, this is astounding. I mean, even if you follow it just in passing, that Cleveland got 3 hit by this cat who I think his last name is Montero. And he actually came in here and did a pretty good job against the Twins.
Keeter Montero?
Yeah, that's who it is. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're down to 5. Got no idea what the weather situation is. With the Chicago White Sox, you meatloafing them 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I mean, that has to take place. A sweep wouldn't. I don't know if he'd be favored. It feels like it might be a -120, maybe a plus 120 thing to like sweep. You can bet series in certain places, like who's going to win the series, and Twins winning the series absolutely should happen because you're missing the White Sox best pitchers, specifically Crochet, this left-hander who got himself hot this season. You're missing him, so I guess yesterday would be one of those, like if I'm Rocco, I'm like, well, I'm racetrack raised. It doesn't matter how you get to the winner's circle, just as long as you get there and we're all getting our picture taken and cashing bets. Because getting into one of these high-scoring ditties against the Chicago White Sox, that's rather improbable. And for the White Sox, let's see, Eloy Jimenez generally kills us. He went 2 of 4. Looks like he hit a home run. Vaughn was 1 of 4. I don't think Robert played. I don't think, he pinch hit late. And of course he scored a run. So they have some players who have given the Twins problems in the past. And it looks like they gave them problems yesterday. So this, it's on now, man. It's a division collision. I guess it's on.
Hoping no problems for the Minnesota Lynx. 4.5-point favorites tonight at the LA Sparks. I mentioned yesterday Nafisa Collier dealing with a foot injury.
Yeah.
The thing opened up at 7 and has fallen to 4.5 points. Maybe there's a vibe that Nafisa will remain out for tonight's game, but that's a 9 p.m.er. It's a late one. You'll get to hear it right here on the Fan.
Yep, can't wait for that. And Cheryl Reeve, I believe, is joining 9 to noon tomorrow. She'll be joining at some point. Also trying to hook up with one of her players, Bercich Carlton, who's going to play for the Canadian Olympic squad. And I read something within the last week that was she just seems like a very interesting lady with her with things that she's into and how important the Olympics are and basketball in a country of hockey. So we're hoping to get that done too.
Yeah, looking like Thursday, by the way. On-air production meeting, just trying to finalize the time. West Coast time here, Central time there. Flip-flop those, and you have yourself a date.
Right on.
Team USA, I'm just seeing them pop up in the news. Of course, they're starting to get ramped up, not only for the Olympics in Paris, that's at the end of the month, but the showcase schedule, and it starts tomorrow. Speaking of Canada, a nation that loves their hockey, U.S. and as part of the showcase tour will be playing Canada tomorrow. You got Bam, you got Devin Booker, you got Steph, AD, KD, AE, as in our guy Anthony Edwards, Embiid, Halliburton, Holiday. People mad at Embiid, by the way, that he's playing for the U.S. and not Cameroon. But Jrue Holiday, LeBron, Kawhi, and Tatum. Any interest in watching these guys? Do you get up for the Olympic? I mean, this isn't a, hey, are you watching the triathlons and the marathons and the sprints and the javelin throws? But just in particular with this incarnation, our guy Anthony Edwards, some have speculated, really anticipating he plays a more prominent role in this mix here with this team. So seeing Ant on the global stage, does that percolate at all for you?
Yeah, I mean, it comes, for me, it comes back to a certain extent to the Minnesota Twins and me being in the Comcast covenant. So, I would have loved to have watched Marnie last night. I would have loved to have watched the game. Unless I'm...
Denard Span on the color, by the way.
Who I think's joining tomorrow, by the way. I'm glad you said that. I forgot to put him in the mix for tomorrow. But it's... Yeah, I'm not watching him. There's thousands, tens of thousands, whatever it is, not watching. So we can box score chase and handle News du Nord in fine fettle. But... I'd prefer to watch, or at least have the opportunity to watch. So given that's not there, all right, I have the extra innings bit, so I'm watching some other games because I like baseball as a chill. And I'm watching more WNBA than I've ever watched in my life. And I will watch something like this in lieu of maybe finding the Twins on TV.
Yeah.
So it's is it appointment for me? Absolutely not. If it's there, will I watch it because it's cool and I think the players are cool? Absolutely. We also have Summer League basketball on the horizon.
First Wolves game might be Friday night, I believe.
Right. So there, that could be in. I don't mind watching Summer League games because, let's say, I don't know, Zach Edey or whomever, familiar names, they play a lot during these Summer League games.
Well, and everyone's obsessed with Bronny James, right? Only scorer, I think he played the other night in prime time, scores 4 points, shot 20% from the field.
Right.
He's the self-proclaimed king's son.
Right, he's the popper.
I mean, does that kid have a chance?
Yeah.
Just think about just from a human standpoint, what is up against him. Has a heart issue in college. At one point, he was one of the highest touted high school kids coming out.
Wow.
And now every single thing this kid does is going to be ripped to hell and back because he gets a guaranteed contract. He's picked 55th overall. Who's the cat that didn't get the chance that he's gotten? Some of these guys are on two-way deals. He's guaranteed in the NBA. Nepotism to the max. You know how that thing rolls. I mean, does the kid have a chance? I don't know.
The strange thing about Bronny James is I've never seen him play. So, I've seen
video highlights.
I've seen the culmination of a dunk on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I didn't click on it to see hey, look at that Allen Iverson crossover there and nice little Isaiah Thomas stop and go to get yourself open. So I've never seen him play.
I saw highlights from the Summer League game, people on him because he got crossed over and it's just, whoa! no, just that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm with you. I'm not watching USC games with any frequency. And again, he did have that health issue. It's cool that he overcame that, but it's like...
It's a tough spot.
It's an awful spot for him, man.
But it's not... Well, the perception that it's an awful spot for him, I can understand it. But when LeBron's your father, even if it's a 0 out of 10, LeBron's still your father and you're going to be okay.
Okay, but life's not all about, like, just having that money. I mean, just the ability for him to pursue his dreams.
I see the other people on the rest of the team, and if he makes the team, or after he makes the team, and somebody loses a job... All right, well, a bottom of the bench guy potentially could be picked up by somebody else.
Yeah.
And so that's where it has zero to do with the bottom line, you think of the rest of the team, but then you think of the veterans. And distraction is the ultimate equalizer in pro sports. Well, you've guaranteed a contract, you've guaranteed a distraction.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be back snickering. You got a new coach in JJ Redick. Okay, so JJ can eyeball LeBron. I guess they're really, really close and like get his point across. Okay, I mean, D'Angelo Russell can't. Austin Reeves can't. They could try, but there are going to be situations because of the father-son dynamic and privilege somebody's clearly being given.
Yeah.
That's going to frustrate those within the covenant.
It's got like his locker right next to dad and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, like if I'm calling Laker games or covering the Lakers or we're doing a radio show on KLAC 570 AM for LeGret, and we're talking about the Lakers, then that's where my mind would go with that. But it's
a lot of people questioning that Redick thing too that you mentioned, where it's just, is he ready to be a coach? There is the personal connection that you mentioned with LeBron.
How can he be ready?
They were doing a podcast together, like they're
dogs.
I mean, that in combination with the Bronny thing, it just feels like all strength. I mean, there's not even a facade of decisions being made in the front office, and it's truly just LeBron playing all the notes right now.
100%. And I can't wait for them to coerce Troy Hudson to come out of retirement as the Timberwolves chaplain, so he can fortify the bench like Big Ticket did a decade, maybe 2 decades ago, and got Troy Hudson on the team.
Reshaping of the West, though. I mean, just the Lakers. I mean, you want to where the Wolves stand, and we were talking about the core four and state of the North. I mean, the Lakers just don't strike me as an imposing and intimidating team. You got LeBron and you got AD.
Agreed.
So you got a shot in many, 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 if not most games, but it's like...
Their point guard situation is problematic. It's like, D'Lo would have some moments last year, but he's a tweener. He's a 1.5. Reeves is a 1.5. LeBron's their best point guard, but he's wearing down because he's playing so much. And if you ain't got that quarterback, I mean, look at the approach taken by the Timberwolves this year with the draft. Is whether Dillingham and or it's Shannon Jr., right?
Yeah, Terrence Shannon Jr.
Yeah, it's whether neither or both of them work. It can't be disputed. Now after putting some time into it, is they're both cold-blooded off the dribble. I mean, Dillingham is that there are all the right people either in the league or covering the league saying Dillingham at age 19, okay, if you're expecting massive assist numbers, it ain't going to happen early. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but it's going to take a while for him to figure out passing in the NBA. He ain't going to stop anybody. His 3-point game's a little dicey, but he didn't shoot a ton. But he's the best off the dribble penetrator of anybody in the NBA draft. So they went and got somebody that has an identity of being the best at something. So that right there is an indicator to me, thinking about it from afar. All right, so who's pissed off we couldn't beat anybody off the dribble in the playoffs when Anthony was doubled? All right, I get it. Well, Shannon Jr.'s the same. He's very good off the bounce, very good off the dribble. So it's clear they became really frustrated with not having any players outside of Anthony Edwards. who can beat anybody off the dribble with all the money on the line.
And that's with all the respect to Conley, too, which was a talker we had during the playoffs where
he can't beat anybody off the dribble.
And the jokes about Joe Ingles yesterday as we were kind of going ham on Ingles joining the team, it's
great call.
You got to climb a mountain to get this guy to the rim at this point in his career.
But see, you know Ingles well, and that's a great call because Ingles, even at 30 whatever, has a quick first step.
Yeah.
And his ball handling is really, really good. So Ingles can get you off the dribble for about 5 feet.
Yeah.
Well, then it all goes pear-shaped. But the thing is, he gets you off the dribble, which means somebody has to react.
Sure.
And then you're going to see the Andrew Gaze, Aussie-like passing skills.
Oh, yeah.
You're going
to get those 8 assists game.
In all 13 minutes he's going to play, but I just made him sound like a combo between Allen Iverson and Larry Bird. But no, Joe.
Can Joe Ingles crack the starting 5?
Joe.
Your text messages.
Joe beats you off the dribble. Yeah. Can't be disputed. Anybody who's watched him, he can occasionally hit a 3, and he can beat you off the dribble for about 5 feet. Dillingham and Shannon Jr., from what I understand, will kill you off the dribble. Absolutely kill you. So Conley's the bomb. Ain't nobody ripping Mike, but I mean, he's nearing the end of his career. And the lefty getting you off the dribble 6 years ago is a little different than it is now.
True.
Cat ain't beating anybody off the dribble. Okay. And elbows are going to go flying and people are going to get bloody noses and we're going to have that whole conversation.
And you get 15 feet to set the charge.
Next November.
He just can't get out of the way.
Bro, pick up your head when you dribble. I mean, you just gave me a bloody nose with the right elbow. Can you at least not charge?
You drove from the... I've been standing here since you crossed the half-court line, my man.
Nas Reed can beat somebody off the dribble. But But with Ingles, he draws smaller power forwards. So there are certain guys he can beat off the dribble a little bit. Dillingham, I can't wait to watch him one-on-one with somebody of arrogance in the NBA who's going to slap the floor and be like, yeah, I've heard it. I've seen it. I watched Kentucky. Yeah, I've heard it. Let's see it. And then when he's 3 feet by you, about ready to dunk on your teammate, then maybe you'll be like, double! Can I get a little help next time? Something like that. That's News du Nord. It's 10:48. You're listening to KFAN. Man. What happened to the farming song?
Well, we can play it, but then we got to cut it out of the the podcast.
Yep, extra work. Hey, what up, brother? Good to see you, man. Fan on the Farm is it's a very prevalent and popular thing around 9 to noon. There are a lot of farmers who listen to 9 to noon while they're executing their toil on their plots, on their farmland, on their property. And we greatly appreciate it and wholeheartedly thank you for listening to 9 to Noon or KFAN when you do. We have a couple of questions that we would like to file. And if you have the opportunity to get on the talkback machine while you're in that tractor, it is the free iHeartRadio app. Find the microphone, leave 30 seconds, and we would greatly appreciate it. Because yours truly is I got some farming friends. I got some friends who have a farming background to them. And when the question was posed to Lewiston's finest, or a farming friend, what are farmers doing these days? Because there was stories that were seen about the amount of rain we received, and you're thinking rain, go away, blah blah blah. That ain't the case. Specifically, just for like homeowners, stuff like that. But for farmers, I'm just thinking like, wow, this is unbelievably cool. This is great. But there's a little au contraire to that. And it was a little eye-opening for yours truly. Where for me, it would be eyebrow raising. For our 11 o'clock guest, Parker Fox, it would be eyebrows raising. And when I posed that question, I was told what they're doing now. Farmers, free iHeartRadio app, talk back now. Cutting, raking, and baling hay, big bales and small bales, hoping the spraying is all done and it's work to keep weeds down. Taking a little break for the kids to show at the county fairs. I mean, you talk about things you generally won't hear in, say, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Eden Prairie, or like Lakeville, or maybe Edina. taking a little break for the kids to show at the county fairs. They're going to be showing their heifers, going to be showing their pigs, great big fat pigs, and doing some showing at the county fairs, which is super sweet. But then, and from a talkback standpoint, I'd like Elite Farming Minds to comment on this. It's the question posed was the constant rain a problem in any way? And said farmer responded, knowing that a fan on the farm segment was en route. It's pretty wet in a lot of places. Flooded fields. Killed a lot of plants. Needs to dry out a lot. Now, when the cock crows, 9 to noon is about to hit a straddle. But the constant rain being making it so that like flooding in certain, I mean, obviously flooding has been a common thread news story, but then just like on flat fields where you're not by rivers or lakes or streams or ponds or anything, the amount of water killed a lot of plants and still needs to dry out a lot. I don't know about you, but that kind of caught me off guard a little bit.
Well, no, I saw it as of like 2 weeks ago that 93% of corn crops in the state were basically not even out of the ground yet. So you're a farmer out there. You just dealt with like 2-3 years, and last year was as bad as it's been in a long time with drought. And then you're waiting for the rain dance to take place. Rain dance comes through, and you basically get an entire season's worth of rain in 1 month. That's what I'm curious, how farmers are dealing with that. So what does that mean in terms of what you do to catch up on? How do you catch up on it, if there's a way? Has the fertilizer been do you completely have to replant? What that entire process is like, because that affects their prices, that affects our prices.
Yeah.
And the food on our table, thank you, farmers, is at the mercy of Mother Nature, it feels like, in some ways, on a year-to-year basis. Last year it was too dry. This year it's soaking wet. Feels like the city of Mankato is still completely underwater. So the flooding that has been taking place to the farmers out there, fan on the farm, tractor talkbacks and all included, I want to know how they deal with that. How they, how do you budget it in? Like, you're going to lose a certain amount of your crops each year for XYZ reason. I mean, that's an absolute grind, man. And I love my corn. And you need hay bales. You got to feed the cattle, right? So a lot of, whether it's pastures and things that you're using to feed grains and such to feed the cows. Well, how are you getting those out of the ground right now with all this rain, man? It's been a hell of a month for farmers out there.
Noted farmer. In fact, we call him Farmer Fox. Parker Fox will join the radio show around the corner and discuss his plots and his lot in life and his tractor in either Fairfax, Hector, or Wilmer. That will begin the final hour when 9 to noon continues on KFAN.